You wake up some mornings, feeling an old fatigue, not from sleep's lack, but from a deeper, unseen drain. You carry thoughts that don't feel quite yours. Anxieties arrive uninvited. There's a suspicion in your mind. Your mind is less a sanctuary and more a battleground. What if this feeling isn't paranoia? What if an ancient, terrifying secret explains why your very consciousness can feel like a prison? What if your freedom of thought is an elaborate illusion? This isn't a theory, it's a map to the cage you might already inhabit. A cage built not of steel, but of perception. This is a hidden prison of the soul. For centuries, humanity has sought freedom. We demand free will. We speak of independent thought. We chase a life directed by our choices. Yet, the way our days actually feel often contradicts these promises. There's a constant noise. You cannot name its origin. Impulses appear from nowhere. Moods drag you as if by an invisible leash. The ancients knew of these forces. They named them. They called them Archons. They were not cartoon devils. They were not simple villains from a children's story. Instead, they described a subtle system. This system shapes your perception. It ensures you keep giving it what it needs most. It needs your attention. Does that sound dramatic? Test it against your own life. Recall the last time you picked up your phone. It was for a second. You then lost 20 minutes. Notice how an argument can replay in your head. It makes your body sweat. It feels as if the event is happening again. A single notification can tilt your entire day. Nothing forced you. Yet something fed on that spill of your attention. Gnostic writers described a prison. It is built where most people never look. It is inside your attention. It is inside your memory. It is inside your desires. It needs no chains. It needs you to mistake your thoughts for yourself. It needs you to mistake agitation for urgency. When this happens, the system harvests what you radiate. It feeds on your fear. It feeds on your anger. It feeds on the heat of comparison. The more you burn, the stronger the loop becomes. Today we will map this apparatus. We will name the cage. This cage makes borrowed thoughts feel like your own. It turns your ability to imagine into a leash. And then we will practice the one shift. This shift starves the mechanism. It does not feed it. This is not about fear. This is about accuracy. When you see how the feed works, you stop contributing. When enough people stop, the loop cannot sustain itself. You will hear claims in this video. These claims are old. They are older than the institutions that later rewrote them. Some of them are uncomfortable. All of them point toward a single sentence. This sentence will return again and again. You are not what you think. You are the one who sees the thinking. Hold that line like a rope in a storm. We are stepping into the mind cage. We are stepping out of it. The Invisible Captors. Imagine a prison that requires no bars. It needs no guards. It needs no walls. It only needs your attention. It needs it to point in the wrong direction for long enough. The mind cage is not a room where you are locked. It is a set of reflexes. These reflexes are installed within you. Left unchecked, these reflexes make borrowed thoughts feel like your own. They turn old emotional signatures into today's decisions. They replace direct knowing with secondhand stories. This cage has 3 hinges. First, identification. You mistake passing mental weather for the sky itself. Anxiety stops being a sensation. It becomes an identity. You become anxious. This is not your true self. This is a fleeting state. Second, agitation. The system keeps you oscillating. It swings you between craving and avoidance. Agitation consumes energy. Distracted energy leaks away. This leakage is its food. Third, amnesia. You forget that awareness can step back. You forget you are the observer. The more you forget, the more the machine appears to be reality. It convinces you there is nothing else. You can observe these hinges in ordinary moments. A headline appears. Identification grabs you. People like me must care. It whispers. Agitation spikes. Your heart rate rises. Amnesia seals the lid. There is no space to notice the sequence. Minutes later, you are arguing with strangers in your head. The feed is running. The system uses symbols. It uses status marks. It uses virtue badges. It employs rituals, morning scrolls, outrage checks. Notifications are timed to your boredom. It uses mirrors. Images of lives you do not live trigger comparison. They trigger craving. It uses noise. A drip of novelty keeps the nervous system too busy to feel itself. None of this is accidental. Attention is the world's most contested resource. Anything that diverts it becomes profitable. This is not abstract philosophy. Watch your body tighten before a thought appears. Then, the thought arrives. It explains the tension. The order is reversed. State first, story second. That is the cage doing its work. It is state management that manufactures stories. Once you see that sequence, even once, the door has already begun to open. Let's ground this with 3 everyday scenes. Your morning commute. You open a news app. 10 minutes later you are furious at people you will never meet. Energy is spent. Nothing changed. The cage profited. In your kitchen, a small insecurity appears as you cook. Within seconds, you compare your life to a stranger's highlight reel. Your appetite is now for images, not food. At night, you promise one last scroll at midnight. At 1:12 a.m., you surface, wired and empty. The alarm will be cruel. The loop will be fed again in the morning. It will fill the emptiness it created. The cage is elegant. It uses your best capacities against you. Imagination, memory, empathy. It counterfeits each one. Imagination becomes worry. Memory becomes rumination. Empathy becomes outrage performance. The counterfeit looks close enough. You spend energy on it. That is the business model. If you are finding resonance with these words, if you suspect there's more to your inner struggles than you've been told, then you are ready. You are ready to see. Consider joining this community. Tap that button below. It will help you discover more truths like this. You will find ways to navigate the unseen currents that shape our world. Echoes from the desert Gnostic revelations. Now we name a verifiable fact. Attention follows the body. The body follows breath. The cage knows this. It keeps your breath short. It keeps your posture collapsed. We will reverse that later. For now, let us turn to a buried record. This record named this pattern long before algorithms existed. In 1945, near the Egyptian village of Nag Hammadi, a sealed clay jar was opened. A library, long thought lost, surfaced. Among the papyrus codices were texts. They described a cosmology. It was starkly different from later, cleaned up narratives. One of those writings, often called the Secret Book of John, sketches a drama. In this drama, a lesser maker, a demiurge, ignorant of the true source, arranges a cosmos. It installs rulers. These rulers are called Archons. They administer the imitation. Other passages speak of Sophia, wisdom herself. She acts without permission. She gives rise to a power. This power mistakes its own reflection for the whole. The point of these stories is not to argue mythic details. It is not to replace one dogma with another. It is to point at a pattern. A world can be organized. It keeps consciousness forgetful, yet it convinces itself it is free. The Gnostics taught, that a spark of the true source lives in every human. This spark is unreachable by the Archons. Yet, it is continually buried under suggestion. They warn that the apparatus imitates. It distorts, it copies life. It is like a mirror copying a face, convincing in outline, empty in substance. Why would such texts be hidden? Because they redirect authority from external rulebooks. They point back to direct experience. If sovereignty lives in the act of seeing, intermediaries lose their role. Power, both political and spiritual, does not enjoy that reminder. Libraries burn. Teachings are diluted. Symbols are inverted. And yet the pattern survives. It survives in fragments. It survives in practice. The manuscript slept in the desert. It waited until someone was ready to remember. You are hearing this now, because on some level, you are ready. One thread recounts how Sophia, wisdom, moved without the consent of the fullness. An incomplete being emerged, a blinding force. It had the face of a lion. It had the coils of a serpent. Later it was called Yaldabaoth. Ignorant of the source, it proclaimed itself ultimate. It organized a copy of reality. To administer this copy, rulers, archons, were set over cycles. They were set over stars. They were set over structures. Numbers vary across texts. The core point remains. The copy runs on order. It runs on repetition. It runs on imitation. Read literally, the myth sounds alien. Read psychologically, it is intimately familiar. A proud, partial power mistakes itself for the whole. It arranges a world. This world confuses reflection with origin. The result is a universe. In this universe, appearance outruns essence. If that description reminds you of highly produced timelines or spiritual branding with more shine than substance, it is because the same pattern is at work. The Gnostics do not leave us only with a diagnosis. They teach that a living spark of the original source resides in each human. It is untouched by these rulers. The task is remembrance, to wake up inside the copy, to recognize it as a copy, to act from the spark. From myth to mechanics, we now look at how thought and emotion are steered. The mechanism does not need to seize your body. It only needs to steer what you take seriously. It does this by copying your inner voice. A silent suggestion sounds like you. It says you are late. It says you are failing. It insists you must answer now. Your body flashes a surge of fear. Your breath rises into your chest. The loop tightens. Soon you are acting out the suggestion. You believe it was your own decision. 3 levers are used again and again. Intrusions. These are thoughts that enter without invitation, yet they wear your accent. They often start with, I should, or what if, amplifiers. Memories and images pour gasoline on the intrusion. This makes it feel urgent. For example, recalling the one time you were publicly wrong. This becomes proof. It tells you that you must reply instantly. Bindings. These are bodily micro-tensions. Your jaw, your diaphragm, the soles of your feet. They anchor the story in sensation. This makes you believe it. Once bound, your attention spins. The feed begins. Energy leaves your awareness. It flows into the loop. The machine eats. You can practice seeing this in real time. The next time a spike of emotion appears, do not hunt for the story. Scan your body for the 3 bindings: jaw, belly, feet. Soften them by 5%. Then watch. The urgent thought will lose its pressure. When your body releases, the story loses its fuel. If you have scrolled long past the point where you meant to stop, you have felt this loop. If you have rehearsed an argument you will never have, you have felt it. If shame visits after a tiny mistake and will not leave, you have felt it. The Archons are not creative. They are persistent. They cannot originate truth, so they repeat patterns. They repeat them until you call the repetition me. Recognizing the copy is the beginning of freedom. The grand illusion, outer theaters of control. No control system survives by operating only inside one person. The same pattern scales outward. Entire cultures can be tuned to frequencies of fear and distraction. Then they are told the noise is progress. Cycles repeat with fresh costumes. Crisis, promise, outrage, relief, then back again. Why does history seem to forget its lessons on schedule? Because what is profitable to the machine must recur. This theater has many stages. On one stage, algorithms serve you. They give you exactly what keeps you slightly agitated, not enough to flee, not enough to rest. On another, identities are sharpened into weapons. Neighbors act like sworn enemies. They fight over symbols they barely define. On a third, attention is sold back to you as entertainment. Then it is harvested while you relax. The net effect is the same as the inner loop. Energy flows out. Clarity goes down. The most elegant trap in that theater is the false awakening. Give seekers a glossy map. It never arrives at the destination. Sell rituals without roots. Sell slogans without practice. Offer symbols turned inside out. Feed the hunger to feel special. Yet, keep the attention pointed outward, pointed at teachers, pointed at teams, pointed at trends. The result looks like movement, but it ends in circles. Entire spiritual industries thrive. They thrive on the hope that seeking is the same as seeing. It is not. The antidote is not cynicism. The antidote is discrimination. It is the felt sense of truth. It comes only from contact with the inner spark. Any path, teacher, or technique that returns you to that spark is useful. Anything that keeps you outsourcing your seeing is part of the theater, no matter how sacred the language. The test is simple. Do you finish clearer and quieter, or louder and hungrier? Another layer of the theater works on calendar time. Holidays and news cycles act like emotional metronomes. Everyone is invited to feel the same thing on schedule. Grief, pride, fear, triumph. So the collective field becomes predictable. It becomes harvestable. There is nothing wrong with shared feeling. The issue is automation. Spiritual life is not immune. When a practice becomes a brand, the temptation to keep the customer slightly unfulfilled is irresistible. Promises inflate. Claims of lineage multiply. Everything glows except the practitioners. The final insult is the fast path. Pay here to skip the work. The Archons love the fast path. It keeps the seeker in the role of consumer. Our interest is not to attack traditions. Many lineages carry living transmission. Our interest is to recover criteria. A simple list helps. Does the practice make you more honest, more present, more kind, less reactive over 90 days? If not, it is entertainment wearing sacred clothes. Put it down gently. Continue on your true path. These Archons, described by the Gnostics, possess no true creative imagination. They are inorganic. They are artificial, like a robotic race. They can imitate, but they cannot innovate. The word used was counter-mimicry. Give them a blank sheet of paper, they create nothing. Give them something already existing, and they twist it. They manipulate what already is. They are masters of illusion. They create virtual reality experiences. They are mind parasites. They manipulate perception. Their essence is deception. They create an inversion of the natural order. This explains the madness we witness. The Gnostic texts, buried for centuries, described Archons as entities that could take form. Their primary forms, reptilian entities, and those we know today as Greys. Almost 2 millennia ago, they depicted Greys as like an unborn baby or fetus with gray skin and dark, unmoving eyes. This aligns precisely with modern accounts. These entities, often described as psychopathic, lack empathy. Without empathy, there is no limit to what they will do. They feel no emotional consequence for their actions. This psychopathic nature is an inverted reflection of our own potential for true connection and compassion. The natural world, a heart society, described in ancient lore, allowed connection beyond speech. It was a world of coherence. This inversion shifted our point of interaction. It moved it from the heart to the emotions. We now react emotionally. We lose our deeper connection to reality. This is how the hack works. It entrains our decoding system. It makes us perceive a bad copy of reality. We are like violins, pulled to vibrate at their dominant distorted frequency. They seek to turn our reality into an extension of theirs. They do this through distortion and inversion. If these insights are shifting your perspective, if you are drawn to understanding the unseen forces that have shaped our human story for millennia, then you will find immense value in our Forgotten Lore and Demonology series. We delve into texts and traditions seldom discussed. We uncover the identities of these entities. We reveal their true influence on our history and consciousness. The link to that series is in the pinned comment below. Breaking the Loop, a 6-step protocol. We cannot bargain with a loop. We end it by starving it. What follows is a simple protocol. It is not a belief. Try it. Test the results. Save it somewhere close. When agitation hits, you will not remember the steps unless they are near. Step 1. Name the pattern. The moment agitation appears, label it. Say it out loud if you can. Intrusion. Amplifier. Binding. Naming it moves it from identity to observation. If you prefer, lightly touch the crown of your head as you name it. The physical cue makes your mind listen. Step 2. Reset the body. Sit upright. Place one hand on your heart. Place the other on your lower belly. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Repeat this 3 to 5 times. Let your shoulders drop on the exhale. On the last breath, sigh audibly. Breath leads state. State releases story. Step 3. Return attention. Feel the contact of your feet with the floor. Ask, what is actually here now? Name 3 sensations. Name 3 sounds. Name 1 visual detail. Attention reclaimed is energy. It is energy not available to the loop. If you are in public, do it silently. Your nervous system understands either way. Step 4. Cut the feed. Identify the conduit that was leaking. Was it doom scrolling, argument rehearsal, craving? Close the tap. Put your phone in another room. Step outside for 2 minutes. Drink a glass of water. Make the cut physical. If the loop restarts, cut again. 1,000 tiny refusals build a habit. Step 5. Remembrance. For 60 seconds, rest. Rest as the one who notices. No commentary. If thoughts appear, say internally, seen. The Gnostics called this direct knowing. Gnosis. It is not an idea. It is contact. The point is not to feel special. The point is to touch the quiet. This quiet does not move when thought moves. Step 6. Night watch. Before sleep, write one line. Where did I feed the loop today? And where did I starve it? Growth loves measurement. So does freedom. Once a week, reread the 7 lines you have gathered. Notice the patterns. Adjust your day. Ensure the same doorway is not left open twice. Your starvation list can be customized. A 24-hour news fast each week. Born. Let your phone sleep outside your bedroom. Default to a monochrome screen. Color is bait. Replace one doom loop app with a reading app. Pin it to the same spot. Keep a one-song timer near your desk. If you must check a feed, do it for the length of one track, not for an hour. Consider an optional deepening observer practice. Sit for 5 minutes. On each inhale, silently say, "Noticing." On each exhale, say, "Noticed." If an image or thought appears, do nothing. Just mark it. Seen. Return to sensing. You are training the muscle of non-feeding. The sovereignty of sight. Remember, the goal is not sterility. The goal is sovereign choice. You will still use technology. You will still disagree. You will still act. The difference will be the place you act from. If the mind cage survives on your attention, then each reclaimed moment is structural damage. It damages the whole apparatus. This is why the story has always been pushed to the edges. Once enough people remember. The economics of the loop fail. The Archons cannot touch the spark. They can only persuade you to ignore it. Refuse the persuasion. The bars that looked solid turn out to be merely mist. In a moment, this video will end. An algorithm will invite you toward 100 other things. Pause. Place a hand on your heart. Feel a single breath travel the whole distance. That is you, prior to the noise. From that place, choose deliberately. Choose what to feed. Choose what to starve. Share this with someone ready to remember. The loop shrinks each time a human turns back toward the spark. If you want this to be more than interesting language, run the protocol today. Once in the morning. Once when you notice agitation. Once before sleep. Where attention goes, reality grows. Today, choose one spot to stop watering the weeds. Choose one spot to water your roots. In the comments below, tell me one word that represents your biggest personal struggle with this mind cage. Is it distraction? Agitations? Forgetfulness? Name it. I will share a 60-second practice to help you begin to starve that specific aspect of the loop. Thank you for your attention. Guard it well. The machine prefers a world of sleepers. You are not one of them.